currently do? Like, what's a week in the life of Mark look like?
In terms of trying to stay fit, I'm swimming 2 or 3 days a week, typically 1,500 to 2,000 meters, and then sitting in the tub after that to loosen up a little bit. The hot tub.
Hot tub.
Yep.
Sweet.
And then I've been spinning a couple times a week. I don't know if you know Allie over at Basin. She's a beast, man. It's a whooping every time, but it's awesome, and she's really good and motivating. So that's a new thing for me just this summer. So I've been enjoying that. And then of course hiking with the dog. Typical stuff.
Cool.
I fish quite a bit, typically a couple times a week. So sometimes wading, sometimes out of a boat.
Yeah.
Ski in the wintertime.
Yeah. How many days?
So, I'm probably down to like 30 half days a year, something like that. So not as much as I used to. I did ski school, Breckenridge and Deer Valley for a lot of years. So I've dialed back on skiing a little bit, but I still love to get out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So with your workouts right now, you've got 2 or 3 days a week of swimming. That's going to be more like long, slow.
Right, yeah.
Not dying, you're just getting out, moving yourself.
I think I could push myself a little bit more and like get my heart rate up a little bit more in swimming, so.
But it's just like, that's like kind of your steady state.
Right, yeah.
So there's a ton of value to that too. To go burn it hard every time, like that's a common thing right now is like CrossFit, Orange Theory, F45, and all of those are good outlets. Anything that's going to get you active makes a ton of sense, as long as it's not hurting you. But to burn it every time at that high end doesn't make sense. Like the body has different gears, and you want to develop the different gears. So doing like a nice comfortable pace swim. Right. I think that's awesome. And then I'm assuming spinning is you're burning it.
Oh yeah. And she varies it, of course, which is good. So, the up and down. Yeah, I probably had close to 600 Orange Theory classes over a period of 4 or so years. Yeah. And never had back problems before that, and my back got tweaked a little bit there. And I would push myself really, really hard in there. Yeah. So I stopped doing that about a year and a half ago. Trained for a tri, an Xterra sport distance. Almost killed me, but I did finish. I cramped up after the bike ride, and the swim, my best event. They canceled because the lake was low and there was a toxic algae bloom. So it was bike run, and I was toast by the time I hit the last run. So I kind of jogged, slog, walked it. Got it done. I did finish. So
in Xterra, that's mountain biking. Open water swim, and trail run. Yeah. So you did. How long was your 2 trail runs?
So the first trail run I think was 2.5K, and the last one was a 5K, and it was in Snow Basin ski area. So it had some up
a little bit up.
Oh yeah.
That's real. So do you know how much vert was in that on the running? Imagine you're
probably a couple hundred. Yeah, not huge.
So they didn't run you straight up the mountain.
Not straight up the mountain.
You were kind of playing around in the hills.
Yeah.
Cool. So, all right, that's what you're doing right now, and you still get out and fish. You still get out, hike with the dogs. Yeah. And you still get a snow ski.
Snow ski, hunt a little bit. Yeah. I love that. Getting out.
Yeah. So, and how's your body holding up for like the activities you like to do?
Really holding up pretty well. The other thing that I forgot to mention that I do is I've been going to Stretch Lab since June. So what's that? 4 months now, basically. And my stretchologist, I don't know if that's a real job or not, but
sounds like
it is. She's great, and that's really helped me out a lot. I have a lot of tightness in my hammies and in my lower back. And I think the pain that I feel there is basically from tension or inflammation. I don't think I'm injured. And so, yeah, that's helped me out quite a bit.
That's awesome. So let's dig into that a little bit, because the whole point of this project is, for me, I want to be able to snow ski, take my dog for a walk, hike in the mountains when I'm 100.
Right.
Or if I don't live to 100, if I die at 90, I want
to do it to the end. Sure.
Until the last day.
That's my goal too, right?
Yeah, and that's everybody's goal. So most of we were talking beforehand, most of the illnesses that we get due to aging are largely preventable through diet, lifestyle
totally
choices.
Preventable. Diet and lifestyle, right? There you go.
There's a genetic component that everybody has to deal with. Everybody's got something that they're getting from family.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's preventable. And the important pieces to me are you need to keep the cardiovascular system alive. You have to strength train. It's really hard to make it without getting a lot of muscle wasting as we get older without strength training. But you can gain strength unquestionably through your 60s. Some people can still gain strength through their 70s, which is cool. But then there's another piece that's really important is keep your joints healthy.
Right.
So we need to make sure our training is keeping the joints as healthy as we can. So Stretch Lab, there's your joint health for you. And what's that look like? What have you noticed change in the 4 months you've been doing Stretch Lab? How many times a week have you been doing that?
I go 2 stretches a week, 25-minute stretch.
Killer.
And typically that I set up to where I do lower body after a spinning class and I do upper body after a swim.
Okay, so you're doing like 1 stretch per zone. Per
week.
Right.
Yep. And I can fold up with my legs crossed. I can fold all the way over and touch my forehead on the table now.
Yeah.
She's got to push on me a little bit, but I can hold it there for a while. So, my hammies are a lot better. They're still tight, every day basically, but
it's helping.
It's helping a lot, yeah.
And the value. I've scheduled this. I have to show up. I paid for it. Like I'm already invested, so I can't not do it. Or is it someone being there to help you stretch, give you a program, or why is it better than just trying to stretch on your own?
So that's a great question. And my stretchologist, Peyton, I'll give her a props basically. Yeah. Shout out to Peyton. Somebody who's stretching you can do a lot better job than just stretching yourself. So what she'll do is she'll block my hip and then twist my leg over basically.
Yeah.
Or put weight on me in a certain way, so that it offers, much more strength than you could apply yourself, and then the other thing they do, I forget what it's called, where you resist with your muscle for 3 seconds and then let go and then your stretch goes deeper too.
PNF.
Yeah.
PNF stretching.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet.
And so, having somebody do it, you can just get a much deeper stretch. And she's been a personal trainer and was a dancer for a long time, so she knows what she's doing. Yeah. That's super awesome. Cool. She's really good, and it helps me every time I go.
For sure. Do you feel like that's something that you'll kind of sustain long term? Like there's a lot of value
probably. It is a cost, but I go because it helps me, not because I paid for it. Right? Did they answer that question?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for me.
Yeah.
With my workouts, I'm my feet are on the floor at 5:30, and if I don't do that, not happening for me. Basically, I got to get it first thing in the morning for that to work for me.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because you still work pretty much full time, right?
Pretty much full time. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have lost a lot of weight in the past.
I have. My weight, I've been a yo-yoer my entire life.
Yeah,
so.
let's look into that because it's cool that. When's the last time you did a yo-yo down, or you got back to kind of a healthy weight, fighting shape?
Probably. I'm up 15 over a year ago. Probably. I could stand to lose 15 pounds right now. I would say.
And where? So
it's eating habits. Just totally eating habits.
Food stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. What when you get down to what you feel like is your fighting weight, so 15 pounds less than you are now.
If I track what I eat, that's a very, very helpful thing. I use a Fitbit app to do that. That's very, very helpful when you actually are accountable to what you put in your mouth.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead of knocking back the Snickers bar if you see one sitting there, you know.
But you're like, if I eat this, I got to put it in that.
Right.
You're
yeah. Right. Yeah.
I don't want to look at that. Yeah.
Even though I'm the only one looking at it, it's like, yeah.
So that's been a useful skill.
Yeah, been useful.
Counting calories. Yeah. So is it the counting the calories or just the tracking?
Interestingly, when you do your workout, you get a bunch more calories, but it's no secret what's good for you and what's not good for you. And it's more really just trying to motivate myself, like, eat an apple.
Yeah.
Instead,
nice
or I'm not eating enough veggies, basically, like the typical things that, try and stay away from prepared foods, shop around the outside of the grocery store where everything's fresh, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, like, honestly, you keep it pretty simple, but just the act of tracking.
Right. Yeah.
Puts it in the front of your mind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Snickers, apple.
Yeah.
Eat the apple.
Right. I look at the calories, but it's like, I'm not a maniacal calorie counter, basically. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. And then another piece of staying healthy and like your body working is there's a mental health aspect to physical training.
Yeah. I mean,
what's your relationship?
I stay connected. I play drums, which is physical, and I do that every day.
All right, let's talk about that. Yeah. Tell me about the drums. Are you playing shows? Or are you just
playing shows? Yep. I play in the bass, practice in the basement, even if it's only 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
I play. And then I typically, in the summer, I'm busier. We'll play 2 or 3 shows a week.
Sweet.
Kicks my endorphins in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a happy dude when I'm doing that, basically. Yeah. And it keeps me connected with people too. It's like, there's the music, and then there's the hang, and like the hang is, at this point, maybe more important to actually, know.
Yeah, I get that. Because my hang is most of my time spent climbing.
Right.
But my hang is, I don't have anything going on. I'm going to go to the climbing gym.
Right.
Somebody's there.
Right. Your buddy there, something in common.
Yeah.
Maybe you just shoot the shit and don't even climb, sometimes, it's like, right? It happens. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. That's cool. And then for your kind of looking back at what you were doing in your 50s, what were you doing in your 40s, kind of like, let's peel back kind of your active life to get you to where you're at now. So what did your exercise or physical activity and sport kind of look like in your 50s? If we rewind like 10 years.
So in my 50s, I was probably skiing more than I do now. I was still playing a lot of drums. Still hiking, still fishing.
They're pretty similar.
Pretty similar, yeah.
How far back would we go to where it looked like kind of different?
So starting from the other end, like you, I'm from Ohio. You play football?
I did not, but
They put the helmet on your head when you're 6 in that state. So, I played football through, the middle of high school. I wasn't very good, hadn't grown into my body yet, basically. I played rugby when I was in college, and been into Findlay before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that I was actually pretty good at rugby. The pads didn't get in the way, and I was aggressive and in pretty good shape. Yeah. So we were running a lot, working out a lot. I went to a high school where sports were mandatory. So
oh, cool. What high school?
It's Kiski Prep outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yeah, and so in the fall, I played soccer. In the winter, I swam. And in the spring, I played tennis, basically.
So three-sport athlete.
Three-sport athlete. Just average,
yeah.
Athlete in high school. But, we were doing it every day. So,
yeah. And the point of high school athletics is for your kids to grow into better adults, not to make it to the NBA.
Right.
I think it's important for parents.
Your kid isn't the next Lindsey Vonn or Patrick Mahomes, whatever. That's 1 in a million,
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother can of worms. Parents in sports with kids, especially here,
Especially here, yeah. I think it's important. The goal is develop habits, learn how to be active,
have fun,
have some skills.
Sports are supposed to be fun for people, right?
Yeah.
And parents take the fun right out of it, basically.
That can happen sometimes, yeah.
One day I was helping with lacrosse, which I know nothing about, and one day I was the only coach. My kid was playing, and I took the 2 best kids, said, "Your captains, pick teams and play," and that's what we did. They had a blast.
Had a great time.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple.
Just play.
Keep it fun.
Just play. Yeah.
Totally, that's awesome. And so after high school, College, you're playing rugby.
Playing rugby.
Are you
intramural tennis?
Sweet.
Yeah.
Does the rugby team lift? Are you guys in the weight room at all?
We weren't in the weight room. I'm sure they are now. It was more of a club sport back then, and now it's like Division I football players. It's like, those guys would crush me now, probably.
It's elevated a little bit.
It's elevated a lot since I was doing it, but it was great fun. And then in through my 20s, I was working out, doing some lifting, doing some running, basically, just kind of basic fitness stuff.
And where'd your career go? Because I think career choice impacts the ease of staying active. Right. So I intentionally am in the gym space because being active is kind of what's always motivated me. Where I got buddies who are on Wall Street and like they might get 2-3 runs in a week.
Yeah.
Like they're not training on a daily. So what's your career look like?
So interestingly, after I graduated from college, I worked in a family business. And so my father and I would go work out every day at lunchtime at the gym.
Oh.
Yeah. So super cool. I won an electronic triathlon there one year. I probably would have been 30 probably, something like that. So,
super cool.
We were hitting the gym, probably 3-4 days a week there.
This is still back out east?
This was back in Kansas City. So I moved from Ohio to Kansas City. I was there for about 9 years. And then left the family business, got married, and we moved to Breckenridge.
Sick.
So doing ski school there. The interesting part about that part of my life, I was playing lots of music. And if you're playing lots of music, I mean, I would play, my biggest month ever was like 38 shows in a month, basically.
That's a lot of shows.
Doubles, a lot of shows. The issue with that is you're playing in a club and they feed you and it's a burger and fries.
Yeah.
And you're eating it at like 10 o'clock at night, or, you're stopping at the Sev on the way home. And, so that was a period when my weight ballooned a little bit, even though I was active. And so it was really tough to manage what I put in my mouth during those times.
Yeah.
We had kids, as a stay-at-home dad. I meant for the whole mental aspect, like my family's tight, my wife and I, and my boys and I. So, that's been, we've always had each other's back. So that's been an amazing thing, actually.
Yeah. And so you're spending a ton of time with family in Breckenridge. Yeah. You're playing drums
every day,
a couple times a day.
I'm watching the boys during the day. Lori's working. She comes home at 5. I hand the kids off, go play one show, maybe 2 with 2 different bands.
1 or 2 in the morning.
Come home at 1 or 2 in the morning.
Start up.
Wake up, make the pot of coffee, put on the Barney video so I can recover.
Yeah. That's a good plan.
Yeah, I watch Merry Christmas Barney 400 times probably. Anyhow.
A couple too many.
Yeah, a couple too many.
And so that you guys were in Breckenridge, and that was that years that you were doing the Rockstar thing, or?
Yeah, I mean just club stuff, playing clubs and private functions and weddings and stuff like that. But making, that was my job at the time. So I played lots and lots of music. Country, was in a reggae band, rock band, whatever.
Just want to play music.
Just want to play. Yeah.
And so that in your 30s, that sounds like it was maybe like the least set up for you to be healthy and active.
Totally right. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
And there's like seasons to everything, right?
Yeah.
There's times where it's easier, times where it's harder. So when did you guys move into Park City? So
for my 40th birthday, basically, we moved to Park City. And
24 years ago.
Yeah. I was teaching skiing at Deer Valley. I was doing guest service stuff. I was concierge up at Steins for a while.
So that's a super active job scene. Like
you're
always on your feet. You're skiing.
Always on my feet,
around.
skiing. Yeah. So.
And are you weightlifting, weight training at all in your 40s?
The only time I ever did serious weight training was probably in my 20s at a gym back in Ohio, and barbells, free weights, basically. Yeah.
Doing old school bodybuilding.
And oh man, after the first day, I was couldn't even walk up and down the steps, But it was good. It was good. I haven't hit weights that hard, although I've done circuit weights over the years and some body weight exercises. Some here for during the COVID thing when I was here. So yeah.
Okay, so 40s, you're you're on the mountain every day in the winter.
On the mountain every day,
so that's pretty much that's
pretty much it.
Yeah. And then we hit the 50s, and now it starts to look more like it does now, where you're doing some running, doing some Orange Theory.
Yeah, I had a couple come to Jesus things in my 50s, my 40s. At the end of my 40s, my weight was up, and I went on a mountain bike ride with my son and some younger friends.
Mm-hmm.
Kicked the crap out of me.
Couldn't keep up.
Oh man, and it was bobsled down. You've ridden bobsled, yeah. So it was bobsled going up, man. Kicked my butt, and I'm like, okay, I got to take the extra flubber off, which I did. And also one morning I walked out, bend over to pick up the paper. When we used to have newspapers delivered, and I was like, it's like use it or lose it, man. It's like I need to do something about this. Get serious about.
So you had a wake up call, intentionally keep this body going.
Yeah, I need to keep. I can't keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah, I got to keep that going.
And that's early 50s.
That's right. Yeah, early 50s, basically.
50. And so you've been last 14, 15 years
pretty active. Yeah,
it's been 4 or 5 days.
Something steady, right?
Yeah, awesome. And then the other thing that I know about you is I think a piece that pushes a lot of people out of physical activity as they hit their 40s and 50s is now my knees hurt when I try to train, when I go for a run. Now my back hurts when I bike.
Right, yeah.
Now my shoulders hurt when I swim. And I know you've had some failure knocks. So let's talk through that. Let's kind of walk through your injury history and kind of when it happened.
So fortunately, my legs have been pretty good. I had a knee. The only ski injury I've had is a knee sprain. Easy. And I just had to stay off it for a little bit. And, so I've been very fortunate. I mean, I've taken some big crashes,
I believe that.
So I've been very fortunate there. I have 2 wrecked shoulders. My left shoulder, probably about 14 years ago, I had a mountain bike crash, had a full face helmet on, didn't have pads on. Pads were on order. I got the helmet that day. Yeah. The full face helmet kept me from breaking my jaw. Wasn't a big, it was just a slide out going 20 miles an hour. Landed on my shoulder, and I got micro tears in that rotator cuff. And then my right shoulder, I dislocated at the ski school party at Suede.
Overserved.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story in itself, but it was a dislocation. My balance wasn't 100% and I got knocked over basically. I was just standing there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year was this?
That would have been probably 2005 or 2006.
So you're in your mid 40s at that point?
Mid 40s, yeah.
So right shoulder got fussy.
Right shoulder, yeah.
Left shoulder got fussy.
A couple years after that.
And then how has that impacted your ability to train? What have you had to change?
Swimming saved me. I have good range of motion in my shoulders, and I just got in the pool. I was catching a little bit. I did some physical therapy. They did. I always liked the little shocker that they put on me. That always felt better after they did that. The little electronic thing. But swimming. That's really. I mean, you should swim. Period. Right? I mean, everybody. It's the best exercise. Yeah.
Swimming's really good because you're cycling, you're getting your good cardio. And then swimming, you are getting some resistance exercise. Yep. So it's not the same as weightlifting, but there's resistance from the water, kind of for the whole body.
Right, yeah.
It's really gentle on the joints.
Yep.
There's 1,000 different ways to modify it. So if your shoulders won't work, you can hold a kickboard and kick.
Yep.
If your hips aren't that good, you can put on flippers or put a buoy between your legs. There's a lot you can do. So did you start swimming to fix your shoulders, or?
I've swum on and off my whole life, basically. Okay. So,
cool.
There's a rec center in Breckenridge, and I'd do laps there. And it's interestingly, I just kind of chugged up and down the pool. I was never that fast. But there's a guy that lives in town. Do you know Marcel Vifian?
I don't know him.
2000 USA National Tri-Champ. And so I got him to coach me in swimming. And it's a very incremental sport. Little tiny changes add up basically, and he's helped me. My swimming jumped a lot after working with him.
Sweet.
Much better, much more efficient basically.
And how did that work? Was it you'd meet him at the pool?
Meet him at the pool. He would he'd video me and then give me feedback, and it was a couple sessions basically.
So it wasn't
like a huge long signed up. No.
Yeah, just
a couple clinics basically, right? Yeah. Not even that many,
Oh, okay.
Maybe a total of 5-6 hours, and he set me up with the program to train for the tri as well too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. So has it been easier to stick with swimming, knowing how to do it, getting a little bit of professional
I enjoy it more now that I'm better at it.
Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed it. You swim for an hour, sit in the hot tub for 10 minutes, and then walk outside and take that fresh pull of cold air in the morning, and it's like,
Feels good.
Oh yeah, feels so good.
I like that.
Yeah.
And so for you, you're working full time, you've got a family, you're very close with your family, and you've got a serious hobby where you're playing drums.
Right, yeah.
Consistently. So it's easy to be like, I don't have time for this. I got kids, I got a job, I got a wife, I got a hobby that I care deeply about.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned like your strategy is like first thing in the morning.
5:30 a.m. That's it.
Nobody's putting a meeting on your calendar at 5:30 a.m.
Nope. Nobody's putting a meeting there. Hard to crawl out of that warm bed some days, and it's dark out, but it's like, I just know if I don't go then, it's not going to happen, and I know I need to do it.
Basically. So what's your rhythm? You wake up at 5:30?
Yep, so wake up, my feet hit the ground. So I swim at 6, so make a pot of coffee, quick cup of Java, and then head to the pool.
Yep.
It's close to my house. Spinning is at 6:30, so I wake up at 5:45, make a pot of coffee.
Same deal.
Head over, head over to swimming.
And then afterwards, go home, eat breakfast?
Go home, have breakfast. I stretch when I get home.
Cool.
2 days a week, I'll go to the stretch lab after that.
Yep.
I'm fortunate in my job. It is a full-time job, but when we're super busy in the winter, basically, and need to be there early, but in the summertime, I get there at 10 basically, so I have time to walk the dog, or time to. I mean, if I need to be there, I'll be there, but they're super flexy, so
sweet,
that works well.
That's awesome. And then you're 64 now. 10 years, you're 74. Have you kind of looked at where you want to be and what you're doing to make sure you can still be there when you're 74? So like when you hit 50, you notice, oh shit,
I need to get on it, right?
Get on it.
Yeah.
This is gonna not be a situation that I enjoy.
Yeah.
In terms of how my body functions. So, have you thought about like your 70s, your 80s, and kind of how you're setting yourself up, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that?
I've thought about that, and it's that's part of the incentive for getting back into teaching drums. To just provide some income and be connected to people. I don't know how long I'll keep schlepping my drums around. We don't really do clubs anymore. Getting home at 2 a.m. is a little rough these days.
Yeah.
But a lot of the shows we do are earlier shows and private functions. So, carrying the drums is not that much fun. But like when I'm playing, it's all good. So so I'll keep doing that as long as I can.
So that's interesting. One of the limiting you adjust kind of what type of audience or what type of venue you're playing at, so you don't have to stay up till 2 a.m.
Right.
And then B, it sounds like the biggest limiting factor for you to continue to do the thing you love will be getting your drums in and out of the venue. Like, because there'll be a point where you're like, I can't carry this.
So,
or what's that look
interestingly,
like?
And it's kind of a joke among drummers, the older you get, the smaller your drum set gets, basically. Yeah. If I'm only going to hit something once in a show, I'm not bringing it with me, basically. Yeah. I bought some aluminum hardware, which is super lightweight. So instead of having this huge, heavy bag of steel, it's just like that now. And so they're,
So you're adjusting your setup?
Adjusting my setup to, what works for me. And
have you looked at doing some simple lifts and getting some like a weightlifting routine in there that would make it easier to carry those around?
I really need to get a weightlifting routine going. That is probably the weakest part of my whole training right now. The 2 days a week with weights, basically.
from everything you said, that's the biggest hole.
Right.
And if you don't, so once you hit it depends. So somewhere between your 40s and 60s, if you're not intentionally gaining strength, you will lose strength.
Yep.
And do you know where you're at with that yet? Like, are you?
Well, I can tell I've lost some muscle mass probably in my
Yeah.
legs. I've always had strong legs,
Mhm.
so that would be an area that I would need some work. I don't know if you're going to talk about the supplements or anything. You mentioned like creatine to me and stuff like that, and it's something I want to look into.
Mm-hmm.
Get that going.
Yeah. So the biggest risk factors as you age are testosterone levels start to drop. IGF-1, which is insulin-like growth factor, that's necessary for muscular growth, for that to be active. Mm-hmm. Those levels start to drop. A lot of times there's a decrease in appetite. Mm-hmm. And so you're not getting enough calories to maintain your mass. And definitely most people in America not getting enough protein to maintain their musculoskeletal system. And then drop in physical activity. So you don't have the drop in physical activity. You're paying attention to what you eat, which is really good. And so for the hormone thing, there comes a point where, for everybody, at some point your body stops producing the hormones that it needs to be optimal for all the systems to run optimally, especially around the muscular system. And that's something now that we can supplement. So you can find an endocrinologist and you can start like doing testosterone replacement therapy, TRT. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do with that. So that's a preventable one. So we can blunt the effect of aging. Yeah. Diet, if you stay active, it's not that hard to eat too much.
Right.
So that's really helpful.
That was the best thing about Orange Theory. I was burning calories so I could just eat whatever I wanted to, basically. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, kind of looking at it holistically is important. And I would say in your 60s, the most important habit to develop, and if you let your cardiovascular system go to shit, then now you're looking at heart issues, respiratory issues, all that, and then that's real. So that's really important. But on that same card, on the other side of it is, that's where you're in your 60s. If you're not actively gaining strength, you're going to actively lose it. And your muscular system is the single most valuable thing in your body that keeps you healthy.
Right.
So your internal organs keep you alive, right? Because if you get put in a coma, whatever, you can live in a bed not moving for a month, whatever. Yeah. And your muscular system will eat itself to keep all the internal organs going. So you can lose muscle mass and still live. You'll just be less robust, less healthy. But if you maintain your muscular system, that's what's going to keep your internal organs healthy over the long haul. So in your 60s, focusing on gaining strength, because you're getting towards the end of where it's statistically and on average possible to continue to gain strength.
Right.
But I know 60-year-olds that have put on a fair amount of lean mass and gained an immense amount of strength just through that lifting. And so for you, that can be a motivation is well, I'm not going to play electric drums and I still got to drag these damn things around.
When the legs go, man, that's it, especially if you're a dog, it's
totally. And for skiing.
For everything.
It's just, they're so important. Yeah. So honestly, I think you're doing everything right. Add in some lifting, that'll help a ton. And I think it's helpful to backcast too. So when we started talking about your mid-70s, thinking about, how am I going to get my drums inside? It's you can fix that problem by thinking, all right, how long do I want to live? How long do I think I'm going to live? Nobody knows. So it's 2022. Let's assume 100.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be sitting under chair from 85 to 100. That sounds
terrible.
Yeah, that sounds worse than dying. So I encourage everybody to think about, if you're 100, what do you want to be doing? And in your 60s, what do you need to be doing to make sure you can decline into whatever activity you want to be in when you're 100? So I think what you've done so far is inspiring. You're able to hunt, you're able to fish, you're able to ski, you're able to stay super active. You have homies, you've got your community through drumming, you've got your hobbies, you got your family. And I think that whole ecosystem is what keeps you healthy, keeps you mentally sound. Right. All of that's really important.
That's what the whole book's about.
That's what that book is.
The big picture, right?
Yeah.
It's the whole thing.
Yeah. So Mark brought me this book. It's called Younger Next Year by Chris Crowley and Henry Lodge. I've not read it, but he said it's awesome.
Did I show you the rules in the back yet?
Yeah. So
355.
355. So it's pretty simple, and it's basically what we've been talking about today. So Harry's rules: 1, exercise 6 days a week for the rest of your life. Serious aerobic exercise 4 days a week for the rest of your life. Serious strength training with weights at least 2 days a week for the rest of your life. Spend less money than you make. That's important.
That's important.
Quit eating crap.
That's important.
That's important. Care. So find something to care about. Find a cause. Connect and commit to something. And like that creates an ecosystem where you've got support.
You've got a reason to keep going, right?
Reason to keep going. Yeah. So I'm going to read this. I think that's really interesting. And so anybody who is in their 60s and like, man, I haven't been getting after it. Like, what would be your parting advice for if you're just generally like the 3 things that have been most helpful for you to kind of make your life better and continue to be able to do the activities that you like to do?
You know, it's really life in improving is incremental, and it's really about putting one foot in front of the other one, you know, and it's like, you know, if you're way overweight, you know, start walking, you know, maybe you only make it around the block for the first couple weeks or month, you know, and then it's 2 blocks and then it's a mile.
Just start.
Yep.
Just start.
Just start, you know, and if you want to do something, don't talk about it. You know, it's easy to talk about what you want to do, but just go for it. I mean, why not, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's what keeps me motivated. I don't live for work. I work to live, basically. You know, it's like I don't love sitting in front of a laptop, I have to say, but you know, I do spend some time doing that. But the things that I like to do, and you know, fish with my son, play music with my sons, you know, that's all part of it. So yeah, don't think you can't do it.
Just get after it.
Just get after it. Get in the pool.
Yeah,
you know,
that sounds like the takeaway. Just start and swim. Those 2 things. Keep after it.
Do it.